What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another sockets tutorial video. In this video, we're going to be kind of trying to put everything together and maybe learn a couple new concepts. And what we'd like to do is create a chat application. So we're going to need a server and then a client, which is pretty common to what we've seen so far. But the difference that we're going to have here is our server is going to handle many clients. And when the client connects, basically it's a chat room, right? So the client needs to be able to send messages to the server, and then the server needs to distribute all of the messages to everyone, okay? And then we also have like little stuff like usernames and stuff like that. But for the most part, the biggest thing that is going to be different here is this kind of broadcast or distribution that we've never done. And then also just simply even that, or also just handling multiple connections. So that would probably be the title if I had to pick one that wasn't like chat app or whatever, is just handling multiple connections on the server side. So anyway, with that, let's go ahead and zoom in. Imagine if I did an entire tutorial that size. I'd have to move my face. Anyway, import socket, because we're going to use that. And then the way that we're going to manage many of these connections is going to be with what's called select, which gives us operating system level IO capabilities. So like with sockets in mind. So on Windows, it would be different than say on Linux. And because of that, Python has select that allows us to utilize that without needing to get into the details. So that this code will run the same whether you're on Mac, Linux, or Windows. So, okay, then what we're going to do is we're going to have a couple of constants here. So header length, will make that equal to 10. And then we're going to set IP. Okay, IP. And in this case, we'll do 127.0.0.1. And then we'll say port 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and make the socket. So server socket will be socket.socket, and the type is socket.af. INET, someone told me, actually probably multiple people told me, but AF stands for address family, and I believe INET is just like internet. Anyway, the next thing is this is a socket.sock, sock stream. There we go. We can type today. Let me zoom out. I just want to zoom out enough to where everything's on screen, but then hopefully not too small. So that should do. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to stop. So if you've maybe hit it playing with sockets, and I think we hit it in some of the tutorials where I had to keep ticking up the port number so we could rerun things and it wouldn't say addresses in use. One option you have to overcome that is just server socket dot set sock opt, and then socket dot socket option level underscore socket. So if I recall right, you've got like 3 options here, and it's like the thing you want to set, and then what you want to set of that thing, and then you set the thing. Okay, so we're going to set this. What are we going to set that, like what attribute of that are we going to set? It's going to be socket.so socket option, reuse address. And we want to set that to 1, which is true. So that's a little funky. We're not really used to setting things that way in Python anyways. And I could be totally wrong. What this is going to do is allow us to reconnect. And I believe that's what we're doing. So the next thing is server underscore socket dot bind. And then we just bind as usual the tuple of IP and port. Actually, I guess you wouldn't have a space there. It wants a space there. That's hard because it's a tuple inside of a parameter. At least it thinks I should have a space. I'll have a space. Server underscore socket. Whoops. Server socket dot listen. And then we're ready to actually start the code. So really everything up to this point, other than I suppose this here, is stuff that should be pretty familiar with you, or to you. Anyway, It's been a few days since I've done a tutorial video. Getting a little rusty. I ended up having a cold, so yeah, cool, fun. Now, it's a good time. So now we're going to start doing the actual server stuff. So the first thing we need to do if we're going to manage a list of clients is to actually have the list of clients. And really, we don't have clients. We have sockets. So we're going to say sockets underscore list. And that could be empty, although we actually already have one, and that's the server socket. So just paste in server socket there. Now later, as clients connect, we'll also have the server, we'll have the clients in this list rather. But for now, it's just server socket. That's the only one we're aware of right now. Now, later, we probably want to think of these clients and at least report these clients to the other clients with something better than their socket information. So probably something other than their IP and port or, that kind of thing. So what we're going to say instead is we're going to have a client's dictionary where these client socket will be the key, and then the user data can be the value. So we got clients list. Okay, so now what we need to do is basically the main thing that the server is going to do, and that is simply receive messages. So we're going to create some space, and let's say define receive underscore message, and the parameter here will be from any client socket. Now what we want to do is try and then accept. I'm going to just write pass here. We'll fill that in a moment. So what we want to attempt to do is, first of all, we want to receive the message header, and that's going to be client socket dot receive, and then we want to receive whatever the header length is, and that will give us the header. And then if not len message header, so basically we didn't get a thing. So if we didn't get any data, the client closed the connection. So we just need a handle for this. So we're just going to say return false. Otherwise, what we want to say is message length equals whatever the int value of message header dot decode UTF-8. And that's it. Just for proper clarity, we could throw the strip in there. So I think I talked about this as well. At least in Python, you don't have to strip there. And it feels really weird that you can convert like a number with some spaces to like a string of a number with spaces to a number. So you might want to just toss in the strip there, just so you understand, because I think that like Python would be one of the few languages you're going to get away with that on. So anyway, you can throw the strip in there. You don't actually need it in Python though. At least the last time we didn't need it. We can test that later, or you can try to test that later. But anyway, so now we're going to return a dictionary where the value is, so for header, we're just going to say the message header. And then we're going to pass data, and data will be client socket dot receive, and then whatever the message length is. So in this case, we're just going to receive exactly however long that is. And I guess, you would just hope that someone doesn't send some gigantic message, but it's a chat room, so later you could probably just handle for length, or maybe we will. I don't know. But yeah, you just would have to think about that as far as the size. But hopefully no one's going to send a message that's like, 50 megabytes or something. Anyway, continuing on. Okay, so we return that. Now, if we hit this other exception, pretty much the only way you would hit this is if someone like broke their script or something, like, so if the client just like closed really aggressively. So in this case, let's just return, and I already noticed I return capital F false, and let's fix this one as well. Done. Okay. So now we're able to receive messages. Now what we want to do is receive messages, and really there's only going to be like two types of messages. There's going to be on an initial connection, and then otherwise this is just a chat message. So let's come down here, and we'll say while true, and we're going to say red sockets, thing we don't care about, and then exception sockets, which we sort of care about. But anyway, select, we really just care about the first one. But anyway, that's okay. Select sockets underscore list. We'll just make this an empty list, and then sockets list again. So what these are is, so select takes in three parameters. You've got a read list, so the things that you want to read in, the write list, so this will be sockets we're going to read, sockets we're going to write, and then this would be sockets that we might error on. And so, and then you can decide what you want to do with these errors, but mainly our main concern is this read list. So these are the ones that we actually want to read in and get data from. So coming down to the read sockets, this is where the bulk of our logic will be handled. So what we're going to say is for notified socket in red sockets, if notified socket is the server socket, this means someone just connected, and we need to accept this connection and also just handle for it. So the way that we're going to do that is client socket client address is equal to server socket dot accept. So we'll bring in that connection. Then we're going to say the user is equal to receive underscore message client socket. So recall that would be here. So we're going to receive that message client socket. We get the header data, and then we get data. Okay. So the user we're going to say is equal to client underscore socket. I'm probably making lots of typos here that we're going to only find out in the next video when we do the other side of this, the client side. Then we'll run it and then likely debug a lot of things. That'll be fun. So, okay, user receive message, and then if user is false, someone just disconnected, so we'll just say continue here. Otherwise, sockets underscore list dot append will append that client socket to that list, and then we're going to say client underscore socket equals user. So recall, user is this dictionary of data here. So you've got the header and then data for that user. So that's the current information we have on this client socket, basically. And then what we want to say is we can just give some simple information. So we'll just say accepted new connection from port or IP port, and then we'll say username this. So in this case, I'm going to make this an F string, and I'm going to say client address 0, client underscore address 1. Let me just zoom out so everybody can see what's going on here. And then this would be user data dot decode. Oops. UTF-8. This may be one of the first times I've done embedding inside of quotes. I'm not sure we're going to get away with that. We may end up having to format it. But I'm going to stick with that for now. And we'll see. It'll be fun. So, okay. Let me zoom out so anybody can see that. We're going to have to zoom back in so we can see again, but otherwise, cool. So now what we want to say is, so that was like if someone just just connected. Now, otherwise, what do we want to do? So we want to actually handle for this. So it's a message equals receive message, again, notified socket. So message equals receive message, notified socket. And then if message is false for whatever reason, we're going to say closed connection from, and we will say clients notified socket data dot decode do this UTF-8. So the other thing we could do is like set this as a value and then pass that through there so we can keep using F strings. I'll be curious to see if this works, if you can like embed that way. I don't think I've ever actually needed to do that. So, okay. Now, if message is false, great. And then sockets underscore list dot remove notified socket. So we'll take that out of the list. And then we also want to del clients notified socket. And then we'll continue. So that's if the message is false. Otherwise, capitalize that F again. I can't wait to see how many errors I've made so far. Now we're going to say user equals clients notified socket, because we already have this client now. Now we're just going to print an F string received message from, and we'll say user data dot decode, and we'll decode to UTF-8, and then we'll put in the message. So we'll say colon, and then the message itself is message data dot decode. Oops. Get back here. UTF-8. Okay. So we see the message. Now what we need to do is share this message with everybody. So I'm going to say for client socket in clients, what do we want to do? If client socket is not our notified socket, so we obviously don't want to send this right back to the sender. So we don't need to like repeat that send. So if that's not the case, client socket dot send user header plus user data plus message header plus our message data. So we send in all of that information. So both the username with the header information, and then after that we send the message with its header information as well. This way on the client side we can display both username, message. So we'll just know that, okay, we're going to accept kind of like two groups of things, the username data and then the actual message itself. Okay, now for notified socket in red sockets, the other thing we can say too is for notified socket in exception sockets. Again, we can kind of just ignore these, but we'll go ahead and just handle them since we can get this information anyway. So we'll just say sockets list dot remove notified underscore socket, and then del clients notified socket. Okay, save that. And I do declare, I think we've completed our server. So, what are you angry about? 2 blank lines after a function definition. Duh. Everybody knows that. Save that. I'm just looking for any syntaxy issues. I don't think my pep8 thing doesn't seem to understand how f-strings work, so I'm pretty sure that's all this is, but this could totally be an issue. We'll figure that out when we actually go to run everything. And in fact, we could just run it real quick right now. We don't have to run, we're not going to connect anything to it, but we could at least, I forget what Python, okay, that's good enough. Python server.py. No, we actually do have a syntax error here, received message. This is what you're saying is a syntax error? Really? Received message from? Maybe because we actually haven't hit this? Pi-37 server.py. No. So received message. So it's angry about this one. What have I done? This is like, these are a little compacted. So let's just say username equals, let's just grab cut paste. Oh, it's the double quotes that I used here. Let me fix that real quick. Save that. Let me run that again. Okay, it looks like our server actually runs. We won't know. We won't actually know if this is going to wind up erroring on us or not doing what we hoped until we actually run it and connect a client to it. But at least up to this point, the code runs. So that's good. That's good. Okay, so in the next tutorial, we will work on our client code. Quick shout out to my recent channel members / longtime members. Papasani, Mohan, I'm going to call you Mohan for short, 7 months. Gene Enzor, 10 days, new member. Thank you very much for your support. Jatin Nandwani, also a new member. Fidget, also a new member. Jackson Warren, 2 months. And Michael Park, 13 days, also a new member. Thank you all very much for your support. You guys are all awesome. Okay, I will see everybody in the next tutorial where we write our client code as well as debug the at least 100 errors I probably wrote so far. It's going to be a great time. I'll see you guys there.